So next, we're going to need bag 111, which is the front right leg assembly. And we'll need bag 317, which is the front right leg fan. Move these out of the way. So from bag 111, we're going to take the motor mount and the fan holder, and we're going to take some of the small parts, some of the screws, to attach those. And we'll be using this to attach the front right leg, which is actuator number 1, so you'll need actuator number 1 as well. And so let's go ahead and sort these components. And this is just like the other leg that we put in place. So what we'll do is we'll set aside the majority of the components and use those later when we actually attach the leg. So let's take the 4 large 25mm M2 screws, put those back in the bag. And then we'll also have 4 M2 10mm in length screws and 8 M2 by 8mm screws. So we'll take the 10mm screws, the 4, and put those back in the bag. We don't need those. And then we'll also have the 7 M2 nuts, and we will use those. So let's go ahead and just take these, seal this bag back up. And put that in bag 111. So I'm going to go ahead and set that off to the side. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach this actuator, which is the right front leg, in place like this. And to do that, we'll use a bracket like that, and it will attach here, and just like the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and separate out our components here. So we've got our M2 8mm screws. We've got 8 of those. And then we've got our M2 nuts, and we've got 7 of those. All right. So we'll get started by putting the 4 M2 nuts in line for these attachments. All right, those are in place. And so we'll go ahead and take our bracket, and we can just snap it into position, make sure it's aligned, and it is. And so we will now take our M2 8mm screws, and we use 4 of them to attach the bracket to the actuator. And so I'll just do that iteratively and progressively tightening them. So now we'll need bag 203, which is the actuator cable that goes from the right leg to the head tilt motor. And it'll be convenient for us to go ahead and put that in before we mount the motor. This motor will be mounted like this, which means we also need to consider the brackets that will go around here and over and put those remaining nuts in place. So I'm going to set this like this, and we'll go ahead and put those into the positions that they need to go into, which is this one here, this here, and then the bottom slot here. And so now I'm going to take the actuator cable, bag 203, and since this will mount here, this cable will come across to the top, and so the cable exiting will come from the bottom port there. And so what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and route this cable through the hole there and have it come out the other side. And that will allow me to fit this into position. I'll also go ahead and remove the orange tape from our other actuator, which is actuator number 2, the front left leg. And I'm going to go ahead and take this cable, and I'm just going to route it under these. Pull that through there, and we'll go ahead and plug it in to this actuator so that it's connected like that. It's not screwed in place yet. So next we will go ahead and take our fan for this leg, which is number 317. And take the connector and route it from the inside through the outside, through this hole. Make sure that the label is facing upwards so that that's where the air is flowing. And then, similar to how we did previously, I'm going to let this cable go across the fan. So I'm going to slide the fan into place and then pull the cable over it like this. Now this is ready to be attached. So I'll set it here, grab our main front piece, and put our actuator into position. Make sure these cables route through here. Okay, it's roughly in position. I'm going to rotate it over so we can see here and see that they're aligning. That. Just going to tuck this out of our way through here. So we've got it aligned like this. And now I'm just going to put my fan in position in the molding where it fits there. And we'll take our M2 8mm screws and start to get those into position. So I'll start on this side, and I'm not going to fasten it all the way, but I'm just going to make sure I've got it aligned and that it's threading in. And so that is threading in pretty well. We've got that in position where we want it to be. Okay. So now I'll align the other side. Another screw. I'm just going to make sure we get it in position, and then we'll just screw that down into place. And then we'll do the other 2 screws. And we'll make sure that we've got a nice good fit. I'm going to take this wire for the fan, and it's going to come through here to this slot. I'll just pull that through for now. All right. We'll clear these out of the way. And next, we're going to get bag 113, which is the front lower cover. And 2 screws. And so we've got the cover and 2 screws here. There we go. And what we're going to do is flip this over, and this is going to go around this area like this, and it will fasten down here where we put these nuts. But we need to route this cable through, so I'm just going to bring this up and just kind of fold these wires gently and push this through here like that. And the 4-pin one I'm going to pull through as well because that's going to route in separately. So I'll just pull that through there. And then just bring this into position. There we go. And we'll just need to attach it with the 2 screws. These are M2 8mm screws. So we'll do this side first. It's just 1 screw on each side. Just going to tighten that down. And then come around to this side, align this one. And we'll tighten it down. Okay. And so now we've got this in place, and we will be removing this and reattaching it. So, all right. Then we want bag 114, which is the front upper cover. This has a power switch embedded in it. And it will be held in place with 4 M2 8mm screws. So this, I'll just leave that cable hanging for now. It's going to fit on here like this. And we'll attach it with 2 screws on each side into the actuator. So align that. We use the M2 8mm screws. Start on this side. So now we've got our front section looking kind of like this.